Story 1.
I put on my cute white dress and sprayed some perfume before heading out the door. For once, I had a date to go to the Valentine's Plaza on Valentine's Day. Excitement ran through my veins as I looked in the mirror, ready to have the time of my life. A text notification rings on my phone from my date, Robert. "I'll be outside your house whenever you're ready." His text read out, "Okay, let me just grab my keys." I rushed through the front door, making sure I had everything in my purse, and left. Robert's car was across the road. While heading towards the car, I could see how charming Robert was. His hair was gelled back, and the red tuxedo complemented his figure. He looked a lot taller and buff with the black shirt underneath. His whole look was dreamy and to die for. As soon as Robert saw me outside his car, he immediately rushed out to open the door for me to enter inside.
"Milady?"
He cooed. I think I was slowly falling for him already. As he entered the driver's seat, we exchanged pleasantries and talked about small, mundane things. After a while of driving, he stated something very peculiar.
"You know, most of my dates wear red. Hopefully your white dress stays pure and clean."
I tried laughing this statement off, hoping that he was just messing with my head. But something in my gut was telling me to be careful. We finally arrived at Valentine Plaza, and the place looked more beautiful than ever. I took my date's hand in mine as we walked through the Cupid gates, feeling energized and cheerful. I looked around the plaza and realized why it was the hottest place in town for couples and dates. The marble tiles covered the floor, and the gold chandeliers shimmer luminously across the entire floor. I was in awe of how rich this place looked.
"Come on. There's a restaurant I would like you to try."
We entered this beautiful restaurant called Red, and it was even more gorgeous on the inside. The black tiles and tables made the room appear larger and more promiscuous. You would think every girl would dream of eating at this place. However, chills went down my spine as me and my date sat on one of the tables.
"Are you feeling all right?"
Robert asked.
"You seem to be zoned out."
"Oh, I'm fine," I lied. My body kept telling me to run, but I couldn't just leave my date stranded. After ordering and receiving our food, I began to shake the feelings away as I wanted a good time. Well, how much of a mistake that was. After finishing our meal, we walked around in the garden. Robert was an amazing guy to talk to. We had so much in common with each other. It was amazing.
"You know what I said about all my dates wearing red?"
Robert asked me. I was about to reply with something flirtatious when suddenly I noticed his menacing smile. His charming demeanor seemed to have vanished into thin air, replaced by a sudden evil aura. My forehead started to have beads of sweat, thinking about all the warning signs when my body was telling me to run. I was trapped. "I don't understand. What's going on? What have you led me to?" My voice quivered as I spoke, but I knew I needed a way out.
"Well, let me show you."
In a split second, Robert pulled out a knife from his jacket, a sharp blade that could stab anyone to death in seconds. Before thinking, I ran as fast as I could, hoping there was a back exit into the garden. I ran and ran, hoping the universe had given me a prank that night. There was no way my cute date was a malicious serial killer with no remorse. After running for 10 minutes, I knew I couldn't run away any longer. Imagine all the other victims that died beneath his hands on Valentine's Day. If I truly wanted to survive, I needed to think fast. Grabbing the largest branch I could find, I waited for Robert to arrive nearby.
You can't run away for long.
He sneered.
I own this entire plaza. You can either subject me and make this death less painful, or we can do this the hard way.
Before thinking clearly, I ran towards him with the large piece of branch, making sure to knock his head out first. In that split second, I managed to grab the knife and swiftly stab him in the heart. In my fit of rage, I thought about the countless victims who have died and should have had a good Valentine. Again and again, I made sure he bled to death to serve justice to the lost souls. The once pearly white dress is now tainted with blood. Robert wasn't lying that all of his dates wore white dresses, but this was the last plot twist I was expecting for the night.
Story 2.
I couldn't contain my excitement as we drove deeper into the dense forest. The anticipation of spending a romantic Valentine's weekend with my partner Sarah in a secluded cabin was overwhelming. The cabin, tucked away from civilization, seemed like the perfect escape from the hustle and bustle of our daily lives. As we arrived, the sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, casting eerie shadows through the trees. The cabin, though rustic, exuded a charm that immediately captivated us. We unloaded our bags, laughing and joking as we imagined the cozy nights ahead. "This is going to be so much fun," I exclaimed. I couldn't contain my excitement anymore in front of her.
I know, right? We really needed this time off to be together. I've been missing you so much.
Sarah pouted with a knowing look. We continued head-on, making sure we set up everything we needed to make the cabin feel cozy and romantic. But as darkness fell, so did the atmosphere. Strange noises echoed through the woods, causing goosebumps to prickle my skin. Sarah tried to reassure me, chalking it up to the usual sounds of nature. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right.
Come on, let's not make this trip negative.
Sarah tried to assure me.
We don't have to have fun right now. You must be tired. Let's get some rest.
However, as we lay in bed, the noises grew louder. Branches scraped against the windows, and whispers seemed to dance just beyond the edge of hearing. I pulled Sarah closer, seeking solace in her warmth, but even her presence couldn't ease the growing sense of dread. I kept having this nagging feeling that something wasn't right, and we could be in severe danger. Then again, I could be just tired from the long journey, right? The next morning, we ventured outside to explore the surroundings. That's when we noticed them. Strange symbols carved into the bark of the trees. They were like nothing I'd ever seen before, twisting and looping in unnatural patterns. It was as if they resembled symbols from the devil, etching and longing for its prey. Sarah brushed it off, suggesting they were just the work of some bored teenagers. She also said that not once has anyone mentioned the woods being haunted, and that we had nothing to worry about. But I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled in the pit of my stomach. As the day wore on, the occurrences only intensified. Objects appeared outside our door. A dead bird, its eyes milky and lifeless. A bundle of twigs arranged in a sinister pattern. 2 raving foxes that ripped each other alive, and you could hear their screams. Each discovery sent shivers down my spine, but Sarah remained steadfast in her insistence that it was all just a series of bizarre coincidences. "I really don't have a good impression about this place, Sarah," I exclaimed. "Please, can we leave?"
All right. All right.
Sarah sighed in defeat.
Only because the fox incident scared me as well. But you owe me a fancy dinner date as an apology.
But when we tried to leave, That's when we realized the true horror of our situation. The path we had followed into the woods seemed to have vanished, replaced by an impenetrable wall of trees. Panic set in as we realized we were trapped, at the mercy of whatever evil force lurked in the shadows. Sarah's facade of bravery crumbled, replaced by raw fear as we huddled together, desperate for a way out. This wasn't the way we were meant to celebrate our Valentines. As night fell once again, the forest came alive with a cacophony of whispers and rustling leaves. Shadows danced in the moonlight, twisting and contorting into grotesque shapes. And then, from the darkness, emerged a figure, tall and gaunt, its features obscured by the veil of night. It beckoned to us with skeletal fingers, its voice a chilling whisper in the wind.
"We've been waiting for you."
It crooned, sending a shiver down my spine. With trembling hands, we clung to each other, knowing that our fight for survival was only just beginning.
Story 3.
I was thrilled to surprise my girlfriend Emily with the perfect Valentine's Day gift. I found a beautiful antique locket at a local shop, intricate and adorned with delicate engravings. It seemed like the ideal symbol of our love, and a bonus was that she was in love with antique objects. As Emily unwrapped the gift, her eyes sparkled with delight.
It's stunning.
She exclaimed, clasping it around her neck.
I'm going to wear this forever. Thank you so much.
Little did we know, this innocent gesture would plunge us into a nightmare we could never have imagined. That night, Emily woke with a start, her screams piercing the silence of our apartment. I immediately rushed to her side, my heart pounding with fear. She was trembling, drenched in sweat, recounting vivid nightmares of a shadowy figure haunting her dreams. Emily, what happened?" I tried to ask. She couldn't move a muscle and continued to hyperventilate. At first, I tried to reassure her, attributing it to stress or a bad meal, and that she could hug me for support.
I can't breathe.
After rushing Emily to the hospital, the doctors mentioned that there were no signs of physical or mental damage. We had nothing to worry about and could be sent back home. But as the nights passed, the nightmares only worsened. Emily became plagued by exhaustion, dark circles forming beneath her eyes as she struggled to distinguish between reality and the horrors of her dreams. Even after multiple hospital visits, we couldn't find out the reason for her sleepless nights and heavy breathing. Desperate for answers, we turned to the locket, hoping to uncover its secrets. Through painstaking research, we discovered its dark history. It had once belonged to a young woman named Isabella, who was the beauty of the town and married the love of her life. Isabella believed that she lived a happy life until she caught her husband with his mistress on their bed. She had been betrayed by her lover and left to die alone, and is said to haunt any happy couple that would celebrate Valentine's Day. As we delved deeper, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. Isabella's spirit, consumed by rage and heartbreak, had attached itself to the locket, seeking vengeance on those who dared to possess it. Terrified but determined, we knew we had to break the curse before it consumed us both. We sought out experts in the occult, delving into ancient rituals and spells in a desperate bid for salvation. "I am going to free you, I promise." Tears ran down my cheeks as I declared my love for Emily, hoping that she could hold on just a bit longer. But as the days passed, Emily's condition continued to deteriorate. The lines between her nightmares and reality blurred until she could no longer distinguish between the two. And then, on the eve of Valentine's Day, the spirit of Isabella manifested before us, a spectre of fury and despair, her eyes blazing with an otherworldly light.
"We are bound by blood,"
she hissed, her voice echoing with centuries of anguish.
"And blood shall be our salvation."
She tried to grab at Emily, but I managed to stop her in her tracks. "Please!" Emily can't do this any longer. She's lost so much energy. Please let her live." I continued to plead in front of Isabella, which somehow had worked. She decided that she would let us go if I offered a donation of blood. With trembling hands, I offered my wrist, knowing that only through sacrifice could we hope to break free from the curse that bound us. As my blood mingled with the cold metal of the locket, a blinding light enveloped us, and I felt the weight of the curse lift from our shoulders. Emily collapsed into my arms, her breathing ragged but free from the suffocating grip of Isabella's torment. And as we watched the sunrise on Valentine's Day, we knew that now we would be okay.